Imagine a world where you could enjoy a summer evening without the annoying buzzing and biting of mosquitoes. What would happen if all the mosquitoes on Earth disappeared? Picture this. Mosquitoes, those tiny creatures that seem to be everywhere, especially when you least want them. They are universally recognized as a nuisance, but have you ever pondered what our planet would look like without them? Well, let's delve into this intriguing hypothetical scenario and see what the consequences might be. To understand the impact of mosquitoes disappearing, we first need to understand a bit about these tiny creatures. Mosquitoes are fascinating and yet frustratingly resilient. Their life cycle is a journey from water-bound eggs, to larvae, to pupae, and finally, to airborne adults. Remarkably, this transformation can occur in just over a week. These adults, particularly the females, are infamous for their blood-sucking habits. They use specialized mouthparts to pierce our skin and feed on our blood, a meal necessary for them to reproduce. But it's not just a harmless nibble. In the process, they can transmit diseases like malaria, dengue, or Zika, causing significant human suffering and loss. And it's not just us humans at risk. Mosquitoes can also carry diseases affecting wildlife and pets. They're a small creature with a big impact. Now that we understand mosquitoes a bit better, what would happen if they were no longer a part of the equation? The immediate impact on the ecosystem would be quite significant. You see, we often overlook the role of these tiny creatures, but they actually play a crucial part in the grand scheme of things. Let's delve into this a bit further. Firstly, mosquitoes are an integral part of the food chain. They are the primary source of food for a multitude of species, including birds, bats, amphibians, and other insects. If mosquitoes were to disappear, these creatures would suddenly find their food supply drastically reduced. This could lead to a decrease in their populations, affecting the predators that rely on them for sustenance. It's a domino effect, one that could potentially disrupt the entire food chain. But it's not just about food. Mosquitoes also contribute to pollination. Yes, you heard it right. Not as famous as bees or butterflies in this department, but they do their part. Female mosquitoes, while they do drink blood, also sip nectar from plants. In the process, they transfer pollen grains, aiding in plant reproduction. So the absence of mosquitoes might impact the reproduction of certain plant species, possibly leading to their decline or even extinction. Now we come to the creatures that rely on mosquitoes as a primary food source. Dragonflies, for instance, feed heavily on mosquito larvae. Without this abundant food source, dragonfly populations could take a hit. The same goes for certain species of fish, amphibians, and other insects. Their survival and proliferation might be threatened in a mosquito-less environment. So as you can see, mosquitoes have a much larger role in the ecosystem than just being pesky bloodsuckers. Their disappearance would set off a chain reaction, impacting numerous species and potentially altering ecosystems. So, it seems that a mosquito-free world could have a ripple effect in the animal kingdom, but what about the long-term effects? In the long run, the disappearance of mosquitoes could lead to profound changes in our ecosystems. As we stretch our gaze into the future, the ripple effects of a mosquito-free world reveal themselves in sometimes surprising ways. Let's dive in and explore some of these potential long-term impacts. Firstly, we would see other species having to adapt to find new food sources. Mosquitoes, especially their larvae, serve as a significant food source for a variety of animals. Birds, bats, amphibians, and other insects would need to shift their diets, potentially leading to a cascading effect on other organisms within their food webs. The delicate balance of these ecosystems would undoubtedly be disrupted, and the full extent of these changes is difficult to predict. Secondly, nature abhors a vacuum. With the disappearance of mosquitoes, it's likely that other pest species could seize the opportunity to fill the gap. These new pests in chief could bring their own set of problems, potentially causing more harm than their mosquito predecessors. For instance, ticks, which also feed on blood and transmit diseases, could become more prevalent. Lastly, let's not forget about plants. Yes, you heard right, plants. While mosquitoes are notorious for their blood-sucking habits, some species also play a role in pollination. Certain orchids, for example, rely on mosquitoes for pollination. Without these tiny insects, these plant species might struggle to reproduce, which could have further knock-on effects on the ecosystems they inhabit. The future of a world without mosquitoes is uncertain. Would the benefits outweigh the potential ecological costs? It's a complex question with no easy answers, but one thing is clear: the absence of these tiny creatures would be felt in more ways than one. As we continue to study and understand our interconnected world, we must remember that every species, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, plays a part in the intricate tapestry of life. So, what's the final verdict on a world without mosquitoes? A question that's not as simple as it may seem. We've journeyed through the life of a mosquito, understanding its biology and the role it plays in our ecosystem. As much as we might despise these tiny bloodsuckers, it's evident that their disappearance would trigger a ripple effect. Immediately, we'd see a food shortage for those species that rely heavily on mosquitoes for their diet. But nature has a way of balancing itself. Over time, other species might step up to fill the ecological niche left vacant by mosquitoes. However, the specifics of how this would unfold remain a mystery. It's a complex web of interactions, and pulling one string might unravel unexpected parts of the tapestry. And then there's the human perspective. On one hand, the eradication of mosquitoes could mean a significant reduction in mosquito-borne diseases, saving countless lives. On the other hand, we might see unforeseen consequences if we meddle with nature on such a grand scale. It's a delicate balance, a dance between the benefits and the potential drawbacks. A dance that we, as humans, must navigate with care and respect for the intricate systems that make up our natural world. So, while a mosquito-free world might sound appealing, it's clear that these tiny creatures play a larger role in our ecosystems than we might think. So next time you find yourself swatting away these pesky insects, remember, they're a small but significant part of the natural world.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. That's all for Nifty Narration.